Hillary Clinton has found a lot of people to blame for her defeat in the presidential election last fall. Jim Comey, Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein, those dastardly Macedonians and their content farms. Most people sort of scoff at those explanations. So now Hillary has a different one. She's accusing women of sexism against themselves. Watch this.
I think it's about the stage that a young woman finds herself at any particular point in time. Actually, the research is pretty clear. If you're a young, college-educated woman and you are starting off in the workforce, you are pretty much at wage parity with your counterpart, a young male college graduate. By the end of your 20s, you no longer are. Once you decide, if you do, to be married, to have a family, you fall even further behind. You don't yet understand all of the sort of invisible signals and attitudes that are at work that can hold you back.
Christy Setzer is a Democratic strategist, president of New Heights Communications, and she joins us tonight. Christy, it's great to see you.
It's great to be here.
Hard to imagine more patronizing explanation. So here Hillary Clinton loses the majority of married women, women who are out of their 20s, just the majority of them, women who've had the experiences she just described. And she's basically saying, you just don't understand what it's like to be a woman in America. Well, they do, because they are, and they voted against her.
I don't think she's patronizing married women. I think she's actually specifically talking to the Bernie supporters who are in their 20s who didn't support her. And look, don't get me wrong. I don't think it's a good idea to tell people who didn't vote for you that they were wrong. I don't think that's actually an excellent strategy. But I will say, as a woman who is 40 years old, that this actually spoke directly to me and my lived experience, which is that, yes, for the early stages of my career, I did believe that I was given every opportunity. By the time I was in my late 20s, I did see the men who had exactly my same level of experience getting tapped for much bigger jobs and very few of the women. So I do think that if you haven't ever experienced that, then you don't actually connect with Hillary on that point. You don't necessarily see her as somebody who has had a lot of sexism thrown at her, had a lot of different challenges thrown at her, and yet she's come out on the other side. She's still fighting. She's still
I can
swinging.
see it spoke to you, but
it
didn't speak to the majority of women in your position, because they actually didn't vote for her. That's what I found so striking about this. She described this life progression, and when you get to the end of it, you'll know the truth. Well, the women who have actually gotten to the end of it and known the truth are like, I don't want any more Hillary Clinton.
Right.
But what struck me even more, though, was her contention in this interview and many others that having a female president is substantively different from having a male president, and we need one. And my impression was we were supposed to believe that the differences between men and women are so minuscule that you can actually change your sex just by saying so. You don't need surgery or anything. You just say, I'm a different sex, and we have to agree that you are, because the differences are so small. She's saying, no, the differences are so profound that you'll have a different country if you have a female president. How does that? No, I'm serious. How does this work?
You're conflating two very different things. You're conflating.
No, same thing.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the idea that you want to vote for somebody who has understood where you're coming from, right? And whether that person is male or female, you want somebody who you think can look at your life and say, I get it. I understand. You probably have the same fears, worries, hopes and aspirations that I do. And I think that she is saying, and I believe this, that women have a lot of things in common and often have a lot of the same experiences, hopes, fears, aspirations, et cetera, in a way that, frankly, I don't believe that Donald Trump would understand where I am coming from, where I've been, where I would like to go.
And yet, again, the majority of 69-year-old grandmothers voted for Trump. But here's my question. What are the specific qualities that would make a woman a different and better president than a man? And I want to warn you that this is a minefield of stereotypes here. So as a liberal, you've got to pretend that no generalization is allowable about women. So how are you going to answer my question?
I will answer your question by telling you what my experience has been and what spoke to me about her campaign. There was a moment in which Hillary Clinton sat there giving testimony on Benghazi, and it came to be the 13th, 14th hour of her testimony. She had exhausted everyone else in the room. She answered question after question after question. She was proving yet again that she was smarter than almost everyone there, that she could actually answer it. She had not just stamina and skill and smarts, but she basically faced everyone down. And I think that women across America in that moment said, Good for you. Good for you, lady.
So she's got enormous stamina. I've always thought that about her, and she's pretty tough, except when she's playing the victim. But what was specifically female about this? She hit this the whole campaign. It's a glass ceiling. I'm a woman. By the way, I'm a woman. Woman here. Woman. Who cares? I don't understand why it's important if men and women are basically the same.
I don't think men and women are
so
basically
what qualities
the same.
do women have
arguing
that men don't have that make them better presidents?
I believe that in the same way that you might believe that African Americans are facing different things each day than white men are experiencing, that it's not too big of a leap to think that women are facing different things each day than men are. Say, for example, the universal experience of women. Let me finish,
but
please.
That's not the argument.
The universal experience that women have of being in a meeting, saying something, the point's not heard, a man says it, and then suddenly says that's a great idea, right? These are small and subtle things, right? But these are very, very relatable experiences that, again, that if you are a woman and you listen to Hillary Clinton and you say, I get it. I've been there. And frankly, she's going to look out for me in other ways because she understands what I've been through in this way.
Yeah, I sort of understand. Again, women didn't feel that way. But final question is, do you think women have better judgment? Do you think they're stronger under pressure? I mean, is there some quality of being a woman that makes you a better president, potentially? Because she kept suggesting that. I never figured out what she was talking about. And I'm not against a woman president, by the way. I'm not arguing that.
I do. I think that women are sort of, as in the way that anybody who is not typically in a position of power, women are more self-aware of the dynamics that are at play, right? Women are more aware of, both the ways in which women treat men, men treat women, blah, 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 right? So I think that necessarily, particularly in the roles that she's had as Secretary of State, where you have to experience diplomacy, understand where other people are coming from, I think that makes her inherently more empathetic. And there's lots of reasons to look for.
I would say women seem to have a lot of power, certainly in my life. But otherwise, thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
President Trump's travel ban has expanded. In an announcement yesterday, the Trump administration removes Sudan from the list of countries that are restricted, while adding Chad, North Korea, and Venezuela. In response to these new restrictions, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, took the moderate position that President Trump is pretty much like ISIS. Watch.
Because what you're saying is not dissimilar to what Daesh or so-called ISIS are saying. What do they say? They say there's a clash of civilizations. It's not possible to be a Muslim and a Westerner, or, the West hates us. And you're inadvertently playing their game.
Nigel Farage is the former leader of UKIP, the UK Independence Party. He has spent years pointing out the dangers lurking around the world, and he joins us tonight. How'd this guy wind up mayor of London, Nigel? And is he for real?
Well, I'm not sure. I mean, I think he's lost the plot, hasn't he? I mean, how on earth can you compare Trump to ISIS? ISIS is a barbarous, murderous regime that inflicts countless misery on as many people as it can. And Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, and maybe the mayor doesn't like him, but Trump actually is standing up, defending our Judeo-Christian culture, and is doing it in the face of extraordinary opposition from judges in America, from people in his own party. But honestly, I do think Sadiq Khan, the mayor of London, is, to put it mildly, wide of the mark with these comments. They are ludicrous.
What does the rest of the UK think when they look to London and they see this guy as mayor? I mean, it must be... I mean, this is the seat of the British Empire. This was a really impressive place for hundreds of years, and this guy's running it?
Yes, I mean, look, let's be frank. He is not particularly high caliber. He's been elected in a city that is now increasingly a Labour left-of-centre city. I mean, do remember that a lot of people in Britain are nervous, are a little bit politically correct, are scared, perhaps, of saying some things. But it's also worth remembering that over the course of his political career, Sadiq Khan himself has made some real mistakes in terms of who he shared a platform with. He shared a platform with some guys who've turned out to have some Islamic views that are pretty unsavoury. And I honestly, I think conservative Britain looks at what Sadiq Khan says, frankly, shakes their head and examines their shoes.
That's very British of them, I have to say. So do you see across Europe, as you look what just happened, in Germany, and as you look what is happening in Spain with Catalan independence, is the continent coming apart? It looks that way a little bit from here.
Yeah, in many ways it is. I mean, look, you know, you've heard the story over the course of the last few months. The populist revolt is over. Macron has won in France. Merkel is back in Germany. But the truth of it is, what you saw happening in Germany yesterday was, for the first time in decades, a party that is unashamedly German, a party that is talking about their own identity, running their own country, deeply sceptical of being run from Brussels, getting 90 seats in the Bundestag. So yesterday is a big day in Germany. And for those who comfort themselves that Macron won in France, well, in the first round of the French presidential election, nearly 50% of candidates voted for secessionists. So the message here is we may not have had the big seismic shocks of Brexit and Trump that we had in 2016 happening in 17, but believe you me, the momentum, the movement of those that say we don't want to be elected, run by unelected supranational cabals, that is still growing, that is still gathering pace, and I believe me, Tucker, in 10 years' time, this European Union, as you see it today, will not exist.
That's right. And this entire finance-based international order is on its way out, I think, for good or ill. Nigel Farage, thanks a lot. Great to see you tonight.
Thank you.